Everybody could be seated and stop talking. I'd really appreciate it. Those of you who have agendas, you'll notice at the top it says, everybody be quiet, please. It says the Lupc chair requests. The Lupc chair requests respect, kindness, civility, and honesty. And I think those of you who know me and those of you who were familiar with my campaign for this honor that I sit here before you in know how important those things are to me. And I also brought copies of the Code of Civility, which is something that's in the BNC standing rules. And if anybody would like to see a copy. They're right here. And these meetings are very important to our community. And these are really important issues to work on together. And to the extent we can follow these and be calm and respectful and kind, I think we're going to get there a lot faster. And I really appreciate all of your efforts in doing that. I'm going to call roll. I'm here, Robert Aronson. Ramsey.
Here.
Todd, Darling, Mark Kleiman. Here. And this is a welcome to Mark Kleiman because he was not here last week, and we're really happy to have you on the committee. Congratulations. Mary Noosh, Kathleen, and again, congratulations to you. It's great to have you on the committee. Maury.
Here.
And Gabriel, I know, is absent. So, first order, anything on the agenda? I'll consider it approved. And on the minutes, I've circulated the minutes from the last meeting. Any comments, or can I have a motion to approve them?
So moved.
For a second? Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Question? All right. Anybody opposed to approving the minutes? All right, I'll consider those approved. Thank you. The first agenda item of updates, I am going to go directly to item D. And this is regarding AT&T case for 737 Washington. Oh, there we go. Okay. We discussed this briefly last meeting, thank you. And there's a very serious concern about the fact that we really didn't find out about this case until we saw a hearing notice for the city hearing, which is actually next in 2 days from now, on Thursday, August 7th. And by the time we found out and started asking questions and interviewing the city and the applicant and trying to work with them, we found pretty quickly that we were heading for this hearing without having gone through any kind of a process with the community discussing this case and expressing their concerns. And also, this is the same case, almost, a few changes that came before this Lupc and this community a couple of years ago, but interestingly with a very different address. And So there are a lot of concerns here. We don't understand why this applicant did not reach out to us for the last several months to work with us on this. They know the process. I've been trying to have this hearing canceled so that we can have our BNC hearings and then have our residents and other community members prepared for the public hearing with the city, which is the whole point of doing this. And I'm still working on it. I'm really pressing very hard, and I'm going to continue to do that. We just got a letter in today from a school, the Learning Center, is it? That's 200 feet away from these proposed antenna and so forth. So what we talked about last meeting was maybe putting a motion forward to just really formalize our concern about the process. Because there's just no time to be ready to address the case on this Thursday, and it's unfair. And so what I had come up with since the last meeting was the following proposed motion. The Lupc recommends that the Venice Neighborhood Council pass a motion at its regularly scheduled board meeting on August 19, 2014, that recommends that LA City Planning inform AT&T and any other applicants who are not cooperative in getting the VNC's recommendation on their case that they must coordinate with the VNC to go through their process in order to receive the VNC's recommendation prior to the date of their city hearing. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Oh, okay, good. That's public comment first. And first on the list is Elizabeth Wright. And where's that? Oh, I'm right here. Elizabeth, thank you.
Elizabeth Wright from 1024 Berkeley Drive in the Oxford Triangle. I think that the wording on the motion should be much stronger. It should emphasize the fact that there were no community meetings. There's absolutely no getting in touch with anyone in the community, and there is flagrant violation of the requirement that developments of this nature go through the Venice Neighborhood Council Land Use Planning Committee. That's one. The project itself is too tall, and unless and until AT&T comes up with documented proof that there is nowhere outside the Venice coastal zone on which they can put their little antenna and achieve what they want to achieve, they should be not given permission to do that development. And I hope someone from Land Use Planning Committee can attend the hearing on Thursday and represent this view to the city. Thank you.
Hi, Lydia Ponce. We expressed the same concerns years ago, and somehow former Mayor Viagra La Raza, yes, I know that's not his name, he pushed that through, and it's here in the Oakwood Park, right here at the north side of the park, where our disabled and/or our retired neighbors and friends utilize the benches, and it's right across from a preschool. So while we're saying no to this project because they're just invisible, they're going ahead and pushing through their project, and I believe some portions of it may have already been built, I think that we also need to take a very strong look at the impact of that particular cell tower. So our concerns are the same, and for the people who stood for, against it years ago for being here, placed at the park, I think that we need to unite on this one because it's the same reasons. Although the health implications are not going to be, allowed as admissible evidence, we all know the EMFs that come from that. So thank you, and I think that this is a good time for us to unite on this one, and I'm with you. Washington to Oceanfront to Rose and beyond.
Thank you. Agnes Huff.
is Agnes Huff. I'm the property owner at 727 Washington Blvd, right next door to the Internet Marina Del Rey. I know that I've already shared my concerns about how close in proximity this project is, the fact that we fought it successfully 2 years ago, but there is a slight difference in this project that I wanted to bring to your attention. The slight difference is that now there is not going to be generators on this project, but there's going to be an AT&T power plant. A power plant that has a tremendous amount of battery power, strings of batteries, that is going to create a tremendous fire hazard. All of this is going to be housed on top of the roof of the hotel in an area of about 120 square feet with no ventilation planned for it. And all of this is not being made very clear until you really dig down into what this project is. Additionally, on all of the plans, there are future cell antennas. There's little boxes on all the plans to say, this is what's going to happen in the future. We're asked to approve something, or the zoning administrator is asked to approve something that we don't even know what it's going to be in 3 to 5 years. That could be a whole cell tower jungle up there if they grandfather all these cell towers in. In addition, there are irregularities, misrepresentations, inaccuracies in the application itself, and the fact that they did not do the proper notification process. So I just want everyone to know that we do have a fireman who has already written a document that is going to support the fact that you cannot have string batteries next to sleeping rooms in a hotel, that it is a significant fire danger, and it's going to impact not only the hotel, but the surrounding community as well, including my property. Thank you.
Thank you, great work. Michael Ewing?
Good evening, and thank you for listening to us. I live at 707 Morris Street. It's a 14-unit condo building. I'm the treasurer and this is in the Sovereign Association of the building, so I'm representing everybody in the building. My living room looks right out at this hotel, and from an aesthetic point of view, if they put another 10 feet, right now they have, I think, 36 feet, which is 6 feet over the limit. And I think they got some kind of special ordinance to go that high historically. And now they're going to put another 10 feet on top of that. Also, the way they've gone about doing this, it's like the bum's rush on us. You know, we had no time to prepare. We did it, the people, myself included, 2 years ago, did a tremendous amount of work, spent a whole lot of money on this, and fought it, and we won, and they were told no, they couldn't do it. Now, I called up the city planning office and I asked, what allows them to do that? And Tricia Keene told me that, well, there's a law that allows that. And I said, what's that law? And she couldn't answer that question. And I've now sent a letter demanding to know what that law is and how they can get away with doing this and coming back on us like this. And we've been out pounding the streets, handing out, petitions, talking to people. It's a lot of work, and we already did all this work, It's harassment, if you ask me. And I think maybe we could find a lawyer that'd be willing to take this as harassment against homeowners. Something else I wanted to say. Those are the important things. But I just think it worked out.
Thank you. Mark Shaw?
Yeah, sure.
Great.
Perfect. Hi, I'm Mark Shockley. So I think most people probably remember that this did happen 2 years ago. We got 600 petitions in a short period of time. It was the same, it went about the same way, which was just real bad. Nobody got notification. The application, they're riddled with holes, so you find yourself aiming at a big target because they're not saying this is what we're going to do, here are the plans, here are the specs. can you approve this? They're saying, here are some facts, many of them are wrong, and then we're going to mark a lot of things as we'll figure it out later or for future use. How can we aim at a moving target? They need to apply for something specific and be approved for that specific thing. There's a huge gap in there, and this, it just goes to show how arrogant these guys are. So we've been beating the pavement again. We've got 200 petitions and over 15 letters in less than a week, just one weekend. You know, I don't want to, I think we should remember though that the Venice plan is 25 feet for a flat roof. And these guys got 30 feet and they have a flat roof. So it's already exceeding the height because they're like 30, 32 feet. So we've already got kind of whammied once in the neighborhood, and now we're going to get it again because they're going to go 10 feet higher than that. I mean, these plans were meant for the community to look after the community, not only visually, but so we would all sort of work together. And we live in a mixed-use zone, and we all have to get along. And last week I saw a bar owner come in, and he was really working with the community at one of the meetings, and I thought that's really a great way to go. These guys don't do that. So this violates the plan. We did take the plans apart. They do have a power station of high energy batteries that is in a very contained space with improper ventilation. It is right next to bedrooms. I don't see how this benefits the community at all. There is no benefit to the community. The money goes like $100,000 a year, maybe more. It goes to this VC group out of Santa Barbara. That's who gets paid. It doesn't go to a park. Nobody gets any of this money. We don't even want it. We just don't want the tower. But they just want the tower. And this is just wrong. It doesn't work for our community.
The petition, I would.
I do. I have 200 of them, or 210. I'd like to, if it's okay, we can take them back at the end of the meeting, because I'm going to photocopy them for the zoning. Okay, here you go. So we will here's the letter. Thank you.
Great work. Oh, yes. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for your good work. No, we have a list. Two more people, and then you can sign.
Okay.
Enid Barron.
I think that this is simply the hotel being bad neighbors and not dealing with the community. And I think it has to do with the enjoyment of our homes versus their greed. And I'm not going to say a lot, but I think that they're not thinking about us, considering us, and it's only their own greed, and they're not acting like good neighbors. Thank you.
Tibby.
Hi, I'm Tibby Rothman, cell phone user. Which actually, I do have to say, we all use them. It is our responsibility too. But I am definitely against this project. I wonder, I know why it's not going through us. I think it is really important not, these are exactly the kinds of projects why we do have community input. There are clear health problems about it. I don't see these going up in the middle of Bel Air or next to our mayor's house, and I urge you to act on it.
Thank you. Next up is, I think it's Jim Ramirez, and then Eric Freeman, if you could just get ready and be behind him.
Just a point of order, Madam Chair. It says that this is a chair update. It talks about writing a letter to the city. It doesn't talk about getting testimony from the general public about a project that is not yet on the agenda. I believe that this is out of order.
Welcome to the new LUPC.
And Eric Freeman.
Hi, thank you. 735 Howard Street. I'm in opposition of the 737 Howard. A little backstory on this. 1996, the inn had a remodel and it was given a variance to go beyond the 25 feet. At least 30 feet, we're not sure. The city was very lazy on this and never measured it 2 years ago and haven't done any work on it today. So we know it's at least 30 feet, flat roof. It's at its legal lawful limit right now. If we go 10 feet more, whether it has black screen on the front, this is going to be visual blight. Michael Ewing, who is right behind, massive building, big condo, a lot of apartment buildings. So all we block them will have no view at all. I'm 50 yards from that establishment. I don't want to see a monster on the street. Look, this is basic. They've already hit their limit. Now they want to go higher. Anything else to me is moot. But if we want to get into aesthetics, it's going to be, look, Frankenstein's monster looked pretty good from the neck down. But this thing is going to be the monster on the street. And we don't want it. We have 210 signatures in one weekend. And we've done our due diligence the first time. Keep coming back. They have lawfully, they can keep coming back every year. Is this going to be in perpetuity? Is there any way to stop this? Because this will go on and on. These guys got billions of dollars, and if it weren't for Mark and Agnes putting up the money they did the last time to keep these guys down, we're just these little guys, and we just keep getting these bombs coming in. We want to stop this, and we want to know how to stop this. Thank you.
Thank you. That closes public comment. And I want to say that all of that information is very helpful to me as I pursue changing this project to a different public hearing date at the city, if at all possible. So thank you for all of that sharing. So, any other discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor of the motion? Were there any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Thank you very much, everyone. And I wanted to add in the chair update one last thing related to this. I was at the hearing last week at the city for the 1550 Pacific AT&T wireless telecommunication facility, and it was very strange because it turned out that it wasn't AT&T after all. It was T-Mobile. The person listed was incorrect. The documents provided were incorrect, and I think the whole thing was just wrong, and the ZA canceled that hearing and told them they need to come back to us and reschedule and do it over. So I think us looking at these things very carefully, as many of you have, is really important, and I thank you for that. Somebody have a question down here?
Yeah.
Go for it.
There was a discussion last week about small subdivisions, and there was a resolution passed by a subcommittee or a committee of the city council, which just passed, and it says that basically that there's going to, if I may read part of this pretty brief.
Sure. Short.
Planning and Land Use Management Committee report relative to evaluating and revising the small lot subdivision ordinance to ensure that future small lot subdivisions are compatible with the neighborhood. Recommendations for council action as initiated by motion. Instruct the Department of City Planning to update and improve the small lot subdivision guidelines. Direct the Department of City Planning with the assistance of the city attorney to evaluate the small lot subdivision ordinance and prepare any changes to the ordinance that are necessary to ensure that small lot subdivisions are compatible with the neighborhood. Instruct the city administrator and the chief legislative analyst to prepare a fiscal impact statement to implement the evaluation and possible revision of the small lot ordinance. So while this is going forward, I'll just get the general idea. It would seem that we should if the city is going to revise something as significant as the small lot ordinance, I'd like to request it put on the agenda somehow. A discussion of having a task force or a way for Venice to make its input known, because Venice has very small lots already, so these are very small lot subdivisions in our case. So I would like to have a discussion, some other ideas about whether or not we should go forward with a task force to look at this, or should we make a motion to
I like
and
that
see what the city
idea.
does?
No, I think we should be proactive. I mean, maybe two of us could meet and come up with some suggestions or something like that. I don't know. Does anybody else have your news? You want to be involved in that? Okay. Todd, did you want to be involved in that? Well,
I guess so.
Robert? Who else has experience? Okay, well, I'll talk to you guys or send out an email, and we'll get together, a couple of us, to bring a recommendation to this committee sometime soon. And I'll also ask the city councilman's office planners if they can find out the timing and how quickly that's going to move.
Do we have a representative from council tonight?
Cecilia is here tonight.
Perhaps you can ask
Oh,
them.
there she is. Yeah, actually, we'll just ask you if you could let us know how quickly we should provide our input, and we'll work with you guys on that as well.
I'll pass that.
All right, thanks. Thanks for bringing that up. All right, moving right along. The next agenda item is the council office city planning update. We talked last week about the AB 2222, so I'm not going to go into them in any more detail, except to say that it is meant to correct some flaws in the Senate Bill 1818 that some of us are familiar with here in Venice, that provides bonuses for developers in exchange for affordable units. And we talked about the benefits of the proposed Assembly bill, and our councilman had done a letter, which I read part of last time, and he's very much in support of this. So I would like to propose a motion that the Lupc recommend that the Venice Neighborhood Council pass a motion at its regularly scheduled meeting on August 19, 2014, that recommends that the LA City Council support AB 2222 currently in the State Senate, which amends SB 1818. Second to the motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Were there any opposed or abstention?
Madam Chair,
Oh,
is there any public comment?
oh, thank you. Lydia Ponce. Is passed. Robert, what was your vote on that?
You're asking us to support AB 2222. I read the councilman's letter, but I haven't read AB 2222, and the devil's always in the details, and I'm abstaining because I can't support something I haven't read. It's lovely that our councilman supports it, and I always want to back him up, but I've seen some funky things on Melonite, and so I'm not going to be just blindly weeping for this, that's all.
Okay, that's fine. There's a copy for you. Okay, you may have noticed we skipped over Land Use and Planning Committee current case updates. We just talked about that last week, and I don't think there's a whole lot of updates, and in the interest of time, we're moving right along. I have on the agenda the report from Mass Scale Character Ad Hoc Committee, Sue Kaplan. Is she here tonight? Oh, great, great. All
I'm Sue Kaplan, the chair of the ad hoc committee for mass scale character, and I want to thank you all for coming back. We really appreciate the work that you are going to do for us, this community. I've handed out the PowerPoint of the report that I gave last September to the board, and it pretty much tells a lot about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how. And so I think there's some extras for the community if they want to hear them, but it's on our webpage, and I'm be more than happy to email it to anyone who requests. Why this committee? Though it's stated in the Venice Pacific Plan and the Coastal Land Use Plan, mass scale and character have not always been addressed as it should by planning departments. Projects were slipping by that have had an adverse effect on the neighborhoods in the coastal zone. The other impetus was the concern by all that the sections did not lend themselves to implementation. The building community were asking for more clarity. We discuss a lot. We read the documents. We read documents from other communities. We look at the resources that are available for us, and right now we're looking at FAR, the floor area ratio, and adapting the baseline mansionization ordinance as a way of minimizing mass and scale. It's not easy, as I've learned, and we're being cautious in our approach. As it says there, we're looking for a fair and equitable solution to this that meets the requirements of everyone in the community, developers, architects, builders, and the community as well. So the one thing that's not addressed there that we're still working on is that's the notion of neighborhood character. So if I can say a few words about that. Do I have time? I have to admit that the committee isn't easy about this. We're uncomfortable with it, but it's part of the specific plan and should be addressed. And I've read reports from as near as San Francisco, Carmel, Monterey, and as far as Victoria, Australia. Everybody is concerned with neighborhood character. Everyone finds it vital to the vitality of the neighborhoods in their towns. And it's critical for the retention of the older homes that make our neighborhoods attractive, and for the balance of diversity of the architecture, a character of the neighborhoods here in Venice as well. And I would say one of the main neighborhood characters of Venice is its diversity of architecture. And we are not looking to minimize that or deter it. We're looking to encourage it. And so I want to read a few passages. I'll end with this from the Victoria, Australia guidelines. Neighborhood character is essentially the combination of the public and private realms. Every property, public place, or piece of infrastructure makes a contribution, whether great or small. It is the cumulative impact, and that's important here, cumulative impact of all these contributions that establishes neighborhood character. It then goes on to say that the key to understanding character is being able to describe how the features of an area come together to give an area its own particular character. It's not so much the individual discrete features and characteristics of a building, which we may identify as style, but the relationships between these features and characteristics within the neighborhood. So this is what we're working on. We're working on finding a reasonable approach to mass and scale, formulaic, so everybody knows we're all on the same page. We're looking at character and seeing if there's a way that we can quantify that as well. So I welcome your input. I think this is wonderful. I thank you very much for inviting me. We invite you to our meetings. Maybe we can do a joint meeting. We have a questionnaire that we've been sending out. People that have filled it out, asking architects for their input into the process. I invite you to also fill it out. It's on our webpage, but I'm more than happy to mail it to you individually. So I hope you'll invite me again, and I hope I'll have more to update you. Thank you very much.
I have a question. When can we expect your final report with recommendations? I see this is September.
I know. You know, just when we get to a point where we're close to having one, we're not gonna be more than this first year of this board term. If we can't wrap it up then honestly, we can't do it.
Well, the first year would be next
No, I mean-
July.
Right. Within that moment, it'll be sooner, but I'm gonna say at the utmost. If we can't do that, if we can't do it then, in that time, then I have to say, I think we all have to say that, I don't think that we couldn't do it satisfactorily.
I really have to say I admire how you brought a very diverse group together to work on this, and that's really important.
Thank you.
And one last thing, Sue, I do want to make this an ongoing agenda item because I think it's a critical, very important issue and what we do to understand this and what you're doing. And in particular, I'm interested in the sustainability aspect of it and you know, benefits or problems with each project. So
Okay.
I hope you'll cover that.
We'll try.
Okay.
And, I'll come back whenever you wish and whenever, and hopefully when I have something to say.
Okay, great, thank you. And I have to backtrack for 1 second. I skipped over public comment on non-agenda items related to land use and planning. So we'll have to make it very quick. Everyone who's on this list, definitely less than a minute. And starting with Kimmy Miller. And right after that, we'll have Benton and Mark Cobley. Please be ready, so we move quickly. Kimmy.
Kimmy Miller, Venice. 1 minute. Okay. I am hoping, we're in the baby stages of trying to save La Fiesta Brava on Rose Avenue, which is in the process of trying to be taken over by the Tasting Kitchen, who has a restaurant on Abbott Key. There has been so much hyper-gentrification on Rose Avenue, and it's mostly, the main focus is La Fiesta Brava. It's a 20-year family-owned authentic Mexican restaurant, and the owner who owns the land, they've been renting from them. She went ahead and, the only way they found out about it was that there was a notice of intent posted on the Venice Ranch Market, and she has a non-refundable security deposit from Bruce Horowitz of the Tasting Kitchen. And it's under the contingency of 2 permits, an alcohol permit, and that he can turn both establishments into one restaurant, which would be 93 seats with 11 parking spaces and 16 bike spaces. La Fiesta Brava, who's been very loyal, came back and said, we'll give you $100,000 to return the money and another $100,000 for security deposit and rent the land. She said no. So we are working, I'm working very hard, and
Wind up, please.
We'll be back. Thank you.
Okay, and I thank you for sharing that, and I wanted to point out that Todd Darley is the Lupc staff member working on that case, so be sure to speak with him if you haven't already, and we'll be seeing that on the agenda soon. Okay, next is Benton Quinn. Thank you, and then Mark Wilson. Please line up behind him. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ben Quinn. I was very disappointed in the last meeting, especially since you approved, or you tacitly approved the 2 buildings which we spoke against at the zoning committee. And I'm concerned that if you keep on with these small lot subdivisions, rather than have a moratorium on this kind of building, that the whole character of Venice is just going to be gone because these places are just going to multiply like cancer. And also, I think there should be a moratorium on them until low-income housing is part of the package, which I'm not hearing about with any of these projects. Thank you.
Thank you. And are you Wilson? What's your first name? Mark Wilson?
No, Hobley.
Okay. Go
I'm
ahead.
also here to speak in favor of La Fiesta Brava.
Okay.
It's a family business. and it's been here 20 years. I've been going there ever since it opened. You know, I moved here in 91, wide-eyed, you know, thinking Venice was the place for me, and it's been really, really good to me. I just don't think that the dream of people coming here, starting a business, sustaining the community, I'll bet everybody in this room has eaten there at least once.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has also fed the people of Oakwood and sustained us all, artists, musicians, people that, you know, you're full as a tick on $8 there. And I don't think the dream is to come here and work and sustain the community and then, you know, until Bruce Horowitz comes along and muscles you out. I mean, that's some gangster moves right there. Right? It's not fair. These people are good people? Okay, I'm on. Anyway, that's it. Thank you. I'm honored to be in a room full of troublemakers.
Okay, we have Boris, Cynthia, then Tibby.
I love it.
So my last name is Wilson, which is probably the confusion before. And I'm going to talk for Boris, and I am my boyfriend. We live on Carolyn, which is an easy walk to Fiesta Brava, and Kimberly has done an awesome job accumulating a ton of information for you guys on this project. I just want to say that I'm here to support her and support you guys in what you do as well. And I'm glad this gave me an opportunity to see this venue and participate.
Good, we'll look forward to seeing you again then. Hi.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Gadeo, born and raised Venice, and I'm here in support of keeping La Fiesta Brava. I think it's important to the community, like everybody before me has said, and I'll keep it short. And I'm here to support Kimmy however she needs me, however you guys need me. But he needs to stay. It needs to stay.
Yeah, thank you. And the last speaker is Tibby, welcome.
Hi, just a big welcome to all the new committee members. Listen, I have some old business with previous committee, and that was the last time I appeared before this committee, I was heckled down by members of this committee who refused to allow to talk. It was done because I dared to question whether someone on the committee had a conflict of interest. I asked if they did. There was no circumstances which they ever explained why they did or they didn't. And instead, I was not allowed to talk. It was in 7 years of investigative news for the LA Weekly, covering City Hall, covering appointed officials, covering elected officials. I have never seen such egregious behavior by any committee. And I really hope that you guys will think amongst yourselves, and as much as you might not want to hear a question, the public is allowed to ask these questions. And in fact, this question was never resolved. It was never resolved publicly. This person, committee member, never explained why they didn't have a conflict of interest. It only increased my distrust of committee decisions. So I would say we all want a great LUPC. We are all going to disagree sometimes. That is the beauty of this beautiful city of Venice. But I ask that you allow that to come from us as well as you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Yay!
And at a future meeting, probably the next meeting, I will talk a little bit about conflicts of interest and also perceived conflicts of interest and how I plan to track and handle those. So stay tuned for that, and I appreciate you bringing it up, Tibby, and sharing that with us. Thank you. Okay, I'll close public comment on general line item, and I'll just say about the de minimis waiver categorization. We're going to be working on that and come up, well, we're actually taking out of our own bylaws and then tweaking a little bit our de minimis categorization policy, and Ramsey DeHelm is working with me on that, and I'm hoping we'll have something for you next meeting. We did actually go through a few of those cases last month, and that went really well, just spending a few minutes on each one, making sure we're all comfortable in a public setting, that these are de minimis, giving the public a chance to say, no, we want to hear about that project in more detail and have our public comment, and you guys vote. And so I think it's a very effective way to make sure we take a look at all the projects, even the ones we think are de minimis. So look forward to your support on that. And last item before we get to the cases is a discussion of CUB conditions. I think we might have some public comment on that. And I just mainly wanted to report that there is a meeting scheduled it's mid-August, I think it's the 14th. And we are so fortunate to have our Senator Ted Lieu's assistant or one of his senior people, Janet Turner, who is facilitating us having these discussions between some of the neighborhood council people and the city attorney's office and ABC, very senior legal staff out of Sacramento. And this is something we've wanted to do for a long time, and for her to come in and help us put this together is just fantastic. And I hope you'll show her your appreciation, and we'll be reporting back on that at the end of this month, since it's going to be happening between now and the next meeting. So that's all I wanted to say, but was there anyone who had something to share about that?
I had public comment, but I thought there was going to be a motion, so since there's not a motion, I'll
Okay, all right, very good. All right, we're moving right along to active cases, and the first one up is 320 Sunset. I am actually going to recuse myself on this one and leave the room, so I have to assign somebody to come get me when it's over. Don't forget me. But I'll be waiting. I was asked to recuse myself from this case by our former BNC president, Linda Lupc. I don't know, I guess it's never been publicly explained, but I'll just tell you it was because I wrote an email to the zoning administrator. I wrote it very clearly telling her I was speaking as an individual, not as a member of Lupc, but I made the mistake of writing it on my BNC email address. This is a problem. So there were some complaints, and our former BNC president felt it was appropriate for me to recuse myself just to not have any issues and drama. So I was happy to do that, and I'm doing that right now. I'm going to hand over the gavel to Kathleen Rawson, who's very experienced at running these meetings, which I'm glad of. Have her here on my right-hand side. And so with that, and don't forget me.
All right. Is that good? All right. So thank you for your patience. Never run through these meetings, so you're going to help me, I know. One thing I will say is that we have two very important items on this agenda. We have to leave at 9:45 because we want to start the building. So we're going to be as strict as possible on the time that everyone speaks. And so we really appreciate your understanding with that. The other thing is I'd like to just mention during the public comment is that I know it's terrific to applaud people, but there's also the opportunity to boo people. And I just want to say from my perspective, I think that really dampens people's ability for public comment. And so even if you don't agree with someone, it's important that we hear it. So let's just not do anything, okay? And also that'll save us a little time. Don't cry. Oh God, come on. Okay, so here's how I think we're going to do this. We have applicant. We have an applicant. We have an applicant. We have no applicant. Okay, our architect. Do you hear? Okay. So if it's all right, if you want to present your project in 3 or 4 minutes, you can, or?
I think I've been asked by the applicant to not say anything.
You've been asked by the applicant not to say anything. Very good. So, the applicant has waived their ability to show the project. So then I will turn it over to Mark Kleinman, who is going to give a staff report to us. After the staff report,
we will get public comment. We'll close public comment. We'll have more discussion. Okay? So it's all yours, my friend.
Thank you, Kathleen. First of all, this is a verbal staff report rather than a written one. This project was assigned to me, and I was glad for the assignment while I was on vacation. I returned badly jet-lagged on Friday and hit the ground running as best I could, but there was no way to digest all of this and prepare and proof a written staff report between now and then. I've got a verbal, and there will be a written report circulated way before either the next AdCom meeting or the upcoming VNC meeting. I do have a recommendation for what I would like, what I suggest Lupc do. I have a draft motion and copies of it available. And a bunch of copies available for the public as well. The recommendation is that the Land Use and Planning Committee recommend to the board that the board, the board deny approval of the project as it is currently designed, but that we also recommend that the board inform the applicant that the VNC would support a new project application which contain the following terms and restrictions. Let me walk through the terms and restrictions. Number one. Number two, explain why we are, my proposal is that we'll do it that way rather than do it the traditional way of simply approving something with conditions. And then number three, explain what my analysis is of the project today. The suggestion I have is that the terms and restrictions in the application be as follows. Number one, it be for a bakery with the sale of baked goods, sandwiches, and accessories only. Number two, that there be 25 indoor seats, which is the current proposal. No outdoor seating, with the area immediately south of the structure to be instead used as dedicated parking for patrons. Number three, that there be no sale of alcohol, whether on-site or off. Number four, that the application include provision for the lot immediately west of the structure, that's an empty lot, to be used as parking for bakery patrons so long as 320 operates as a retail establishment. Number five, that the curb directly in front of the premises not be used as a loading zone or designated as a loading zone or parking reserved for the exclusive use of the premises. Number six, that deliveries are all to be completed by 9 a.m. And number seven, that all trash collection be done Monday through Saturday via Sunset Avenue and not via the alley. Here is where this is coming from. First, why is this proposal that we do this as a new, that we ask the applicant to create a new application rather than simply attaching conditions? The sad history is that we live in a city that does not enforce conditions. That's not the applicant's fault, but that's the reality that the neighbors of this project are going to have to deal with. Conditions do not get enforced. B, this is a new application, but it is not a new applicant. I spent the other evening reading through 150 pages of hearing transcript for another property owned or managed by the applicant, Jolina's. And that hearing dealt with a violation, not just a few of, but in the words of the planning staff, a majority of the conditions that had been imposed. The conditions that had been The violations that have been noted included the use of designated parking for food preparation, sound outside the restaurant when that had been a specific condition, the remodeling of a second floor, which was utterly without permit, the use of office space for dining, the use of residential space for dining. Here is the problem we've got. The proposal that the application makes is a proposal that began as a bakery with a claim that there would be no increase in occupancy level. This is what got the initial exemption that was submitted to the city in May of 2013. Now, the interesting thing to me about that application is that even though they said, hey folks, this is going to be a bakery, no increase in occupancy load, 6 months before, the applicant had signed a lease saying it's going to be a bakery and a cafe. They had already planned an increase in occupancy load. They had already planned to have more people there. They had planned to serve food and have people eat that food on the premises. This was concealed. This is a cause of great concern in terms of any assurances that somebody's going to offer that conditions that might be attached either by this committee or the DNC might be adhered to. The big problem that I see is that there's a 13-foot wide alley between where they want to put 65 unprotected, unbuffered outdoor seats and people's bedrooms, open until 1 in the morning. The ad hoc report that had been produced earlier noted that there were restaurants that operated near residential areas. That's absolutely true. None of those restaurants have 65 people sitting outside. None of them. None of them operate with 65 people sitting outside drinking until 1 in the morning. None of them. There are, in addition, serious questions that I've not been able to get answered about the parking and the calculations for the parking. This was noted in prior Lupc meetings where we've got these very nice, very detailed drawings with crosshatched markings and no measurements. So it is impossible for anybody on this committee or anybody in this meeting or anybody on the board to tell how any of this stuff was calculated. So my recommendation is that we ask the board to deny the project as it's constituted and let the applicant know that the community would welcome the bakery, but the noise and the parking has got to be dealt with in terms with the restrictions we've talked about in this motion.
Thank you, Mark. Does any committee member have questions of Mark? Only questions, not nothing. Okay, we're good. Okay.
I'm missing the hours of operation for the 25 indoor seats.
That's an excellent point. The current application indicated that the hours of operation would be until 1 a.m. If there are indoor seats, as opposed to outdoor seats, I don't know if that poses a problem. Although without the alcohol, is anybody really going to stay there that long? I did not specify hours of operation in this, and would consider a friendly amendment if you've got one.
Okay, and the other question I have is, I know you said the drawings weren't so good, but when you talk about 25 indoor seats, we don't really, we need to specify service floor.
I agree that we do, and the problem, again, is we don't have measurements. There's a service floor area claim. Give me a second, I can get to it. Well,
this is one of the great other mysteries. There were 2 different service floor calculations submitted that are at variance. In an October 19th, 2013 submission, the applicant claimed that the service floor area was 900 square feet. Yet in a subsequent application, the proposed
So my only point, while you're looking, my only point is that we need to at least say, if we're going to give a number of seats, that the service floor area needs to be commensurate with this many seats, including footpath and travel. That's my...
Okay, thank you. Would that language, would language as general as that be enough to include in here?
Can I make a suggestion, Mark? Just go ahead and work on the language. We'll take public comment.
Okay.
Because I don't want to go beyond, no, that's okay. I don't want to go beyond discussion because we need to have the benefit of the public comment before our discussion. So I just want to clarify questions, okay? Are we good? For the moment?
Yeah.
Well, we're still confused, but that's okay. We'll get the answer. Did you have a question?
I had a comment.
Oh, no comments yet. We'll do questions. All right, so we have 20 speakers, some of whom will yield their time, I understand, so we will do that in the order. Again, is there someone here who can help me with the timer?
I can do that.
You can do that one? Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Can I just say, until there's a motion and it's seconded, public comment has to be kept open. So the fact that you do a public comment now before we know what the motion is.
Okay, so the clarification language of the, would you like to restate the motion? I think we have a printed motion with a clarifying piece.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Do you want me to reread the entire thing?
Well, would you like it reread?
No, we heard the motion, there was no second, and if there's going to be amendments to it, we need to know what those are for the
Okay.
public comment.
All right, very good. So, did you put, we don't need to reread it, okay?
Well, okay. I won't reread it, but the modification for the second restriction would mean that there would be 25 indoor seats with service floor area commensurate with seating for 25 and path of travel that is ADA compliant.
So, just for clarification, in terms of rules of order, the committee, after public comment, can actually change the motion, and based upon that public comment, but I understand the practice of Lupc has been to do it this way. So that's, and then I completely yield to the practice. Because somebody might say something that we want to include, so.
I just have to remind you that the rules are that if anything changes, the public has to have the opportunity to comment.
Okay, very good. We shall make it so. All right, Kimmy Miller, Roxanne Brown, Brian Reed, Amanda Burgess, and Heather Thomason. Could we get you queued up to speak, please? First, Kimmy Miller.
Oh, I'm going later. I'm going to use Kimmy's minute, yeah.
Oh, you're going to yield? Okay, so we do have, you can, Roxanne is next. Roxanne Brown, followed by Brian Reed.
Okay, thank you very much. You basically said what I was going to say. I'm very concerned about that owner operating at 320. I live on a parallel block on Vernon. They do have a track record of being in chronic disregard and non-compliance of city conditions over their 7 years, overcapacity of patrons seating over 100 when they were allowed 60. And one thing I hope you can address in what you're doing, you may want to change it, patrons are standing in line to get in and eating on milk crates on the sidewalk. They're blocking the right of way on streets and sidewalks. And I have 2 pictures of that I'll give you. And there have been ongoing complaints from 2007 to current. And I did a little research, and in the original letter to the letter to Lupc from Fran Kamaj, January 22nd, 2007, Mr. Kamaj says, allow me to guaranteed what we will not have, loud music. Here's a letter, May 2014, from a neighbor of Jelina's, Amy Alcon. Is my time up? Okay, great. Amplified music was blasting, so we can't go. And thank you so much.
Thanks, Roxanne. Brian Reed. Yeah, I called him.
You guys
Brian, can you push the, Brian, sorry, can you push the microphone up a little bit? Because I feel like we're making you struggle to get in amongst
here.
everybody else. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
You guys can stop me whenever you get the point. I live 13 feet away. I live 13 feet away. 13 feet away. The alley is 13 feet wide. People are going to be drinking and trying to exit out a 13-foot wide alley. It's one way. You have to back in or back out. It's 13 feet. You guys want me to stop? Tell me to stop. I'm not going to tell you to.
Thank you, Brian. Amanda Burton. No clapping, thank you. Amanda? I know it's hard. That's hard. It's okay.
Hi, my name's Amanda Borhoff, public speaking, but it's very important that I'm here because I also am 13 feet away. I have a 13-month-old, I hate public speaking, I'm sorry. So my child goes to bed at 7 p.m., there's no AC, windows are open all the time. The noise from a 65-foot patio would be insane. My husband works from home, I take care of my child from home, like safety, again, the alley is a nightmare, backing in and out, and that they have parking coming in and out, another problem. So I think that's the basics. It would be a nightmare. I'm very concerned for our enjoyment of living as well as the whole community. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Let's see, Heather Thomason, followed by Tor Nose, Elizabeth Crumsey. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your names.
That's okay. Hi, thank you guys so much for listening and for organizing all of this. I live in the Venice Art Loft at 615 Hampton, which is very, very close to the proposed project. I guess I have two sort of general areas of concern about this project, and in particular the issuance of the liquor license, which I'm not sure what the status is of that exactly, but I guess it's still active as a possibility. So the first is this safety in the area. Living on Hampton, I see an immense amount of traffic, and it's only grown over the past few years. Cars speed down that street. I really worry for the safety of people who have been drinking and are crossing the street, from cars involving, cars coming from the restaurant who may have drivers that have been, drinking at all, and the pedestrian traffic there is very worrisome to me. The more general issue from my point of view, I guess, is that it seems like Venice has, is that time? I'm sure other people will express these concerns, but anyway, thank you so much. And
thank you. Tor, please.
All right, I had a whole page, I'm going to eliminate it all, because you pretty well said everything what you said originally. The only thing I want to bring up is, if you look, I was at the original meeting, in which case it said that the lot to the west was going to be strictly a parking lot, and they laid out how they would park all the parking, they're going to valet there to make sure everything was done. If you go by there, the pavers that they're using in that parking lot are not the kind of pavers you typically would use in a parking lot. They're the kind of pavers you typically use in a patio area. So it makes me really wonder, are they really planning on using that as a parking lot? So that's a concern. I love the idea of a bakery. I love being able to go around the corner from my house and getting in something, a cup of coffee and something hot to eat in the morning. But some of the other things I do have a concern about.
Thank you. Lisbeth, followed by Mia Duncans, followed by Sarah Blanche, and Elizabeth Wright.
Yeah, I'm Lisbeth Gorumzai. Thank you, Mark. You did a very thorough job. I mean, I almost don't have to speak anymore, but I will anyway. I love my neighborhood, live on Vernon Avenue, and it's mostly quiet and peaceful. Putting a restaurant like that with liquor license and all that would destroy the peace of our neighborhood. The peace and enjoyment, really. I would not have peaceful enjoyment of my home and garden anymore. It would increase the traffic, make parking impossible, bring noisy customers to the streets around us. Noisy because people who have been drinking speak louder and tend to be unaware of their surroundings. I feel that the people who live around Sunset have been misled and betrayed. It was going to be a bakery. Now we are fighting a large restaurant with a liquor license. I say no, don't let this happen. Thank you.
Good timing, is that? Mia Duckins, followed by Sarah. Turn the cricket off. It's a timer, yeah. Oh no, we're trying to gently tell people behind it. Okay, so Mia, are you here? Okay, no Mia. Sarah Blanche?
Good evening, thank you very much. My name is Sarah Blanche, and I'm here representing the Institute for Public Strategies, and I also do live in Venice. I live on Flower Avenue. It does sound like you really addressed the issue of the alcohol license in your recommendation, but I wanted to illuminate a couple of points, a couple of facts. This 320 Sunset, the requested license is in Census Tract 2733. The total number of licenses the Bureau of Alcoholic Beverage Control has authorized in that census tract is 5, which is 3 on sale and 2 off sale. And the actual current number of alcohol outlets operating in that census tract is 16, which is 13 on sale and 3 off sale. Now, ABC makes these recommendations, and by the way, my organization is directing a project in Venice to reduce alcohol-related problems. And they make those recommendations based on population and density and really what the community can bear, and if that is over-concentrated, which it is in this census tract as it is in so many in Venice, and just that's an important factor in all of your decision-making. And thank you very much for all you do.
Thank you, Sarah. Elizabeth Wright?
Thank you for looking into the parking. I do have one request, and that is to put something in there that will make sure that only occupants for the restaurant are parking in there.
Okay, we have 2 people who are yielding their time. Those are Lydia William, thank you, and I think it might be Hattie Williams.
Laddie.
Maybe it's Laddie. Laddie, okay, thank you. Hubert Hodgson, and then followed by Alexandra Kormozek. Oh, that was close. Okay.
Hi, thank you. Mark, thank you for your presentation. Appreciate your perspective. I would like to make one correction on Brian's measurement of the alley. It is my belief he made an error. It's actually 12'6" wide at its narrowest point. There is an oversized telephone pole that reduces it from 13 feet to 12'6". I live approximately 200 feet from the back of that alley. And we like a good time at our house. It's fun, we're fine. But having an outdoor party that close every night of the year practically is a concern for us. Besides the noise, the parking, the coastal access, parking during the day in our neighborhood is practically impossible for the residents. The workers from the neighboring businesses and startups around the corner in the neighborhood park there a lot. Beach access for coastal access is already an issue. Having this restaurant with a gazillion people and employees and blah, blah, blah would make it even worse. Thank you again, appreciate it.
Thank you. Alexandra?
Hi. There used to be a bakery on Rose. I've lived in my house on Vernon for 15 years, and I've loved the neighborhood, and it has changed so much, and I understand things change. The bakery on Rose years ago smelled good, and it was wonderful, and it's gone. And when I heard that a bakery was coming, I was excited, and it was just, I feel scammed. I have a 13-year-old daughter. She has her friends over all the time. They're just at the age now where they can go out on their own, walk down to the beach, walk around the neighborhood. And I'm not comfortable with, all the people drinking. It makes me really uncomfortable. People, cars fighting for parking spots. After First Friday, just recently, First Friday, once a month we have to deal with the people drinking and coming to our street, loud, noisy people, back to their cars. And that's what it's going to be every night if there's a restaurant 200 feet from our house with a liquor license.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agnes Huff. Agnes, are you yielding?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So CJ Cole is yielding. So then we have Ilana, and you are the recipient of yield of time. You have, Robin Merez is here. Okay, right, I just want to make sure you're here. Perfect. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes maximum. If you don't need it all, the entire group thanks you. But take what you need.
Hi. I'm actually one of the people that is involved with bringing this group together we're talking about. It's okay. When we get to it. Thank you, ma'am. I actually know this property well because I work across the road at Gold's Gym. I live 3 blocks up on the same street. I have done that for 14 years, so that's been my path of travel for 14 years. So I'm possibly more familiar than the actual, owner of the business, because I see several times a day exactly what happens with the traffic flow and people and the whole deal, all hours of the day. So there's a few things I want to touch on. Firstly is the ABC license or the application. Well, Mark has made a motion to deny. However, just in case that's not accepted, I want to talk about that. The ABC applicants are attempting to sell liquor for consumption on the premises, both indoor and outdoor patio, and also off-site sales. So the indoor and outdoor patio is within 13 feet of many residential homes, not just one. This in itself is in violation of the ABC's Rule 61.4, which actually states that alcohol permits should not be issued within 100 feet of residences. So right there, you're in violation. We currently have in excess of 120 protests which are filed with the ABC. On here, this is just a radius of about 300 feet from the premises, which is highlighted. The red dots show approximately half of the number of protests we have in. We have another 50 protests, which we still haven't accounted for on this chart. So you can imagine doubling that. That's a lot of people, a lot of families and homes that will be affected from this alcohol license coming in there. We're very concerned about the parking and the traffic. The applicant has the use of the parking lot next door. However, I believe it's not tied with a covenant and it is non-exclusive. So I guess that essentially means that the landlord can remove it from the applicant at any time. And then where do people park? The idea of a parking lot does sound good and it's great and obviously it's needed, but we would like to know how they actually are figuring the parking, and as in real meaningful spaces, not invisible spaces. And by real spaces I mean this lot. You can see it on there. This lot actually has only one entrance and it's the same exit. Because of the configuration that cars must take, they would have to drive in forward, turn around and drive out forward. I believe there's something, a city code which states they can't back out because of the way the parking structure is situated. If they back out anyway, it's going to be too dangerous. You can imagine there are people walking by there all day. It's across the road from a gym. A lot of people walk to the gym. A lot of people walk to the beach. You've got his patrons will be in danger, along with tourists, cyclists, skateboarders, people walking with headphones in their ears, other cars. You've got a driveway there which is exactly opposite the driveway of Gold's Gym. So there, many, many times I've seen people backing out and practically backing into each other. So the reality of this parking traffic situation is that it's just too dangerous and too risky. There will be accidents, there'll be injuries, there'll be no doubt of that. And that will be a result, I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but there'll be a fatality if this is allowed to take place. I see so many near accidents all day, every day, when I walk up and down there. Adding alcohol into the mix, obviously, adds to a more dangerous situation. He's planning to have delivery trucks on the street. Have a look there, you've got one delivery truck out the front, and in order for other cars to get past, they have to go on the wrong side of the road. I've seen many, many near accidents that way, just by the trash trucks going in and out of the Gold's parking lot. If they park in a lot with delivery vans, which he said deliveries will be in the parking lot, they're going to have to ingress, turn around and egress the same way. They won't be able to back trucks out there. So, and if you have deliveries in the lot, where are you going to park your cars? Where are your 100+ patrons going to park? Where are your 35 staff going to park? There's going to be no room on our streets. And he's already admitted in one of his other meetings that the parking is horrible. Well, we know that because we live with that day in and day out. It's a coastal access route, which means direct access to the coast, as deemed by the Coastal Commission of California, needs to be at all times. If you have trucks, if you have trucks blocking on both sides of the street, how are the emergency vehicles going to get through there? That's a direct route from Lincoln Boulevard all the way down to the beach. One more thing about milk crates, someone actually mentioned, Tor mentioned about the paving is not actually made for cars, it's made for pedestrians or people. The applicant has already said in a public meeting that he plans on having people sitting on milk crates out there eating their food, which is exactly what he does at his other location on Abbot Kinney. I think milk crates are illegal. I think they need to be returned back to the milk company. But no, it is. If you Google it, you'll see. But as well as that, that's just a way of scamming the system and squeezing more people in without going through the application process. And one last thing, speaking of process, a concern for us, which Mark very well summarised, is the way the applicant went about this. It was a bait and switch. He got signed off with the city as a bakery. He told all of us that it would be a bakery, got everyone in the neighbourhood excited, and no one would get behind it. All along his intention was a restaurant. His paperwork actually shows that. So you start off building a bakery, it's not your intention. You do this because you know you can leapfrog into a restaurant. That's just basically gaming the system. It's not cool and it's not in the spirit of Venice. I hear the crickets.
You heard the crickets. Okay, and I think Sharon was also the last person. Sharon. That was the last minute. You can take the last minute. If you speak in the mic.
Yes, there were two things that weren't mentioned. I do need both of these actually. We do have Westminster Elementary School right here. And many people in our neighborhood are low income, don't have a car, and they walk their kids to and from the school and all around the blocks. This neighborhood has been so lovely. There's a food truck that comes by, an ice cream truck. The kids run out to that. So we're very concerned about the unsafeness of adding more people, more cars, and liquor. And Sunset, I don't know if you guys went down there, but 4 streets intersect, 3rd Avenue, 4th, Hampton, and Sunset, plus the alley on Vernon, plus the exit and entrance of the parking lot for 320 and Gold's are virtually across from each other. 4 streets, an alley, and an exit and entrance to 2 driveways virtually across each other, add liquor and people on narrow Sunset Boulevard Avenue, and that is an accident waiting to happen. And thank you all very much.
Thank you, Sharon. Okay, so the public hearing is closed. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts with us. The item is before the committee for discussion. We have a motion on the floor and a second. So any discussion?
Mark, are there any parking credits for this? Are you aware of any parking credits?
Parking credits?
There is a claim that there are 20 parking credits that were grandfathered in. There was a lot of back and forth at a meeting, a Lupc meeting earlier this spring about it, and it looks like it looks to the untutored eye. And Robert, perhaps you can speak to this, because you were here for that discussion and you were on the committee. It looked to my untutored eye as though that was legitimate. But I know you had taken a closer look at that at the time. No? Did I mention that? Okay, I mentioned that, I'm sorry. It looked like they had parking credits stemming from when it was an office. It was used as an office building. There was an estimate based on that. What I cannot speak to is whether or not the parking load that is anticipated is as reported in the applicant's papers, because we just don't have measurements for actual service floor area or retail space, and it's not clear whether the outdoor patio seating is included in the service floor area. It looked to me as though it was not.
I think you've done a great job including all the issues, but my also concern is a lot of parking areas in the city lead to address environmental issues as well. And I'm hoping that not only this parking, but others can follow the landscape regulations to provide trees and planting within the parking area.
Further comments?
This is only my second meeting, and at our second meeting, the first 2 applicants did not show up, AT&T and the owner of this bakery. One must make note of that. My reading of the Venice specific plan is that anyone proposing a project here has to go through the local planning authority, which would be us, in order to graduate up the hill. Is that, as I understand it? No, they do not have to go through Venice. They don't have to consult with Venice specific. Okay. So,
they can get a sign. Sometimes they get a sign.
Sometimes they get a sign. So without a sign up, they have to go through the local planning.
Right. Sometimes when they shouldn't get a sign up, they get a sign up.
Well, I'm trying to say again.
Sorry about that. Sometimes if there's a sign off of VSO, it doesn't come before us. There are some pretty valid opinions that VSOs are issued illegally or improperly, or both.
But in this case, was there such a signature on the VSO?
Yes. What's happening is a bifurcation of the process that didn't used to happen, and the council office is endeavoring to fix the problem, where the applicants are going to planning and getting these VSOs and DIRs for parking credits that may or may not be proper, and then going ahead with the development. And what you'll see is a service floor, which is generally miscalculated, improperly calculated, but just so happens to be the exact number as the parking credits. So that's what's been going on the last few years. The council office, as I understand it, is trying to fix that so that it's all done at once by the ZA, rather than 2 separate processes with the VSO followed by a ZA hearing.
So I would note that the applicant's not coming before the community board charged with looking at plans is disrespectful at the minute.
Public comment is finished. No.
You know, so are you speaking on behalf of the applicant?
Yeah, as the applicant's representatives.
We're too late.
I just want you to know that.
You had your chance.
Well, one moment. Because he had an opportunity to speak earlier. Just one second.
Sure.
I'm going to explain to the audience. We'll give him a minute, okay? Just like everybody else. Please feel free to go forward.
Okay, this project was brought before this committee. Art was part of this committee when it was brought before. There was a vote that took place. The former president of the VNC came into a subsequent meeting and usurped the authority from this committee for that decision, decided to solicit a staff report from a third party who used to be a member of this committee some years ago. There was a 12-page report that was presented to Linda Lux when she was president of the VNC. That was supposed to go in front of the VNC. Linda came in and made a public statement that she was usurping the authority of this committee and she was going to take it in front of the VNC without input from Lupc because she felt the process was tainted. And that's what was supposed to happen. The applicant was under the impression that that was supposed to happen. I didn't find out until tonight that Robin told me that there was some meeting that took place by the VNC where they threw that report out. I don't know what happened. The applicant's unaware of what happened. It wasn't disclosed to us why that report was thrown away. And that's our position. So we've gone through this process to exhaustion. And we had a staff report that was prepared. Linda Lux came in and said, watch me do what I'm going to do. She did it. We were waiting for the decision. We got the staff report. The staff report was generated. It was 12 pages long.
Thank
with
you.
recommendations.
How does that feel?
Okay. Careful for comments if you would be so kind. Okay. You go. I'm not talking now. Okay. Other comments, discussion from the committee? Ron? Oh, were you finished, Todd? Did I cut you off?
No.
Okay. He wasn't speaking. Would you like to speak? Okay.
We're just gonna go down the road here and all give our opinions. or
We
not?
can if you'd like, otherwise, if it's necessary, we will. If not, we can.
All right, I'll just make some comments. I'd like to see how we haven't really had enough time, I don't think, to go through this problem. But is there a public hearing set for this? Or has it?
It's already happened.
It's already happened, okay. So with respect to the parking credit, I'm just gonna skip that, but we need to address off-street loading zones. The indoor seats have to be fully enclosed as required. In the municipal code, it requires that a C use in an M zone be fully enclosed, as I read it. Steve, is that how you read it too? They had to be fully enclosed?
I'm sorry, repeat it?
A C use in an M zone, according to the municipal code, had to be fully enclosed? It's a yes or no question.
The restaurant, you mean the seating use on the patio?
Any C use in an M zone needs to be fully enclosed. Is that your understanding?
No, it's not.
Okay, that's my understanding. So I would say that we need to address that. We certainly need to have a service floor area, and one of the things that the city started doing about 4 years ago, they started deducting half of travel from the service floor. What that does is it cuts the service floor by about 20 to 30% from what it should be, and ends up requiring less parking in Venice than the entire rest of the city, when it's supposed to be the other way around. We need to address hours, I believe, and we need to say how many parking spaces are required, in our opinion, and that it should either be a lot tie or a covenant, and not replaced by bicycles. My personal opinion is that the city's bicycle ordinance does not apply in Venice. That's probably novel. and on the outer edge right now of legal interpretation, but that is my interpretation, that the city cannot come in and say that if the specific plan requires a certain number of parking spaces, that the city can just reduce it by allowing bicycle parking instead. It doesn't say that in the specific plan. I don't see how the city could allow that. That's my opinion. And also, when you talk about a loading zone or on the public street, I think we also need to say valet should be, because not valet. Something that we've been doing for a long time is that the applicant must provide free parking for employees during their shift, either on site or within 750 feet. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I already mentioned about landscaping should be included.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comments?
I believe I heard the architect say that there was already a public hearing to take place.
Yes.
Do you have a letter of determination?
No.
Okay, so I guess the process that we're going through right now is to influence the outcome of that letter of determination. That's fine, thank you. One more thing, in regards to the parking, the use of the word provision, I just wanted to be spelled out to say that that provision should be a recorded covenant of the parking that we require.
Okay, any further comment? Okay, so then we have a motion on the floor, so all those in favor? Two? Do I need to do? Yes, in favor? I can do roll call if I need to. Robert? No. Okay, so one no.
We need to flesh out the motion, so voting on this motion without discussing some amendments, I think leaves a lot that's not covered. That's just not.
Okay.
I have a question, and is the maker of the motion open to friendly amendments?
Absolutely, not just open, but hysterically great.
And unfriendly
Let's do
amendments.
that before we vote then.
Okay, very good. Amendments.
Glad I didn't fall asleep. So, number 2. Number 2, 25 fully enclosed indoor seats. Or 25 indoor seats fully enclosed as required, I think would be more accurate. I already said that the service floor area needs to be commensurate with 25 indoor seats, including the path of travel. I think we need to talk about hours. We haven't had that addressed by the neighbors, but I think we should talk about
Are you talking about hours of operation for the bakery? Is that what the motion states?
I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. There's bakery, there's retail, and then there's restaurant, right?
The motion is to, a bakery only.
No, it's not. It's sale of food with 25 indoor seats. What is that? What do you call that? A takeout? Is that a restaurant?
What I meant by number 2 was that baked goods, sandwiches, and accessories that were served there could be consumed on the site.
I'm not clear, I'm sorry.
Okay, I mean, the idea being that, you know, there would be seating for items sold at the bakery.
Is it table service or is it takeout with seats? I'm sorry,
I was treating it as takeout with seats as opposed to,
Take out the
you
seats.
know, as opposed to wait staff.
Okay.
If,
All right, so then and your feeling is with that, we don't need hours of operation to be addressed.
that was my feeling.
So if this is going to be takeout, we have to say
Yeah.
that this is considered takeout. We really should be describing what it is we want exactly.
Or we can just, if it's too difficult to suggest to the applicant,
No, we're here to listen to the community and the applicant and make a motion. So it's not, that's not necessarily the only consideration. What is it that the motion is trying to accomplish? Is it take out with seats?
Yeah, the idea was to allow what was originally proposed, which was a bakery, where people could come and purchase baked goods. And if they wish to consume them on premises, to actually go forward.
Is that kind of, I'm sorry, does that kind of like Evans had it?
I think it'll be tastier, yeah.
I'm telling you no. So also for number 4, we need to say how many parking spaces and that there's a covenant, a recorded covenant, and that they can't be replaced by bicycles is what I would say. Then we have the free employee parking during the shift, either on site or within 750 feet. So, I mean, I'm just repeating myself, I don't know why. You want amendments? I've already said what I thought, I don't know what I can do.
got it? I've got your comments. Okay, so those are friendly, it's a question. Are those friendly additions and, I think they're really clarifications, most of them, instead of modifications. Okay, they're amendments. Yeah. All right, so given that, is there, am I understanding that Irv, you would like to say something?
No.
Okay.
But if anybody does, they should.
Is there anyone who'd like to take just one on what we have amended? One sentence, fabulous. Okay.
Apparently, there was a certificate of occupancy issued a week ago on this as a bakery. So
It's rhetorical.
I had a conversation with the project architect, Steve Lupc, who informs me that the certificate has not yet been issued, but that the inspector has said that everything is close so that it may be issued.
well, it's listed on building and safety, issued on 7/28/14.
Then it's been issued.
Sometimes there's a lag.
I'll tell you when you have some news on your properties from now on.
If you look
Okay.
at the website, it has not been issued.
Okay.
No, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, got it. Go ahead, 1 minute.
I do think the hours need to be addressed because as we've discussed in the past, there hasn't been compliance nor enforcement. So I hope you will consider reasonable hours. And I don't know how you will enforce that the owner doesn't have people eating on that patio or in the parking lot.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, 1 minute.
If the person that wants to make a restaurant happen doesn't own the parking lot next door, what assurance do you have that the owner of the parking lot is going to keep letting those people use it?
Thank you. By covenant. Yep.
I didn't know about the eating outside on milk crates, but different subject. But if they have kicked all the homeless off of their milk crate on 3rd, where exactly if this is location, then why is it okay to have these upper class people sitting on milk crates right outside?
Thank you, okay. And if you, please only speak if you really have to, because we have another very important item that I know folks are anxious to. Okay, you may, absolutely. State your name, please.
I think it's interesting about the milk cartons. The
Milk crate.
Because Evans Abbott had reclining tables, maybe 15 inches wide, and little chairs, and they were up against their window, and they were cited by the police, and they just took them off. And I'm totally flabbergasted that I see Angelinas with those little crates sticking out way into the walkway. So I don't know how they got the privilege to sidestep what Evans Abbott did dearly.
Thank you. Okay. So we have an amended motion. The seconder, who is the seconder? Do you accept? Okay. Then I would like to take a vote, please. All those. Okay. You have to read it, Mark.
Okay. I think I got it. Jump in if I don't. Okay. The draft motion now is that the Land Use and Planning Committee recommends that the board. I'm over. That's my time. Thank you. That the board deny approval of the 320 Sunset Avenue project as it is currently designed. We also recommend that the board inform the applicant that the DNC is supporting a new project application which contain the following terms and restrictions in the application itself. 1, a bakery with the sale of baked goods, sandwiches, and accessories only, right, non-alcoholic drinks.
Soft drinks.
Right, and caffeine. With no table service. Number 2, there be 25 indoor, no more than 25 indoor seats fully enclosed as required, with the service floor area calculation including path of travel commensurate with the indoor seating. That no outdoor seating be allowed in the area immediately south of the structure, which is to be used instead as dedicated parking for patrons. Number 4, that the application must provide free parking for all employees either on site or within 750 feet of the site during their shifts. Number 5, that there be no alcohol sales on or off site. Number 6, that the application include provision that is tied to a covenant. And just for the public's information, the land immediately west of the structure is owned by the same people who own the structure, which is why this is possible to achieve. That is, the provision would be for a covenant for the land immediately west of the structure to be used as parking for bakery patrons in perpetuity so long as 320 operates as a retail establishment. Number 7, that the curb directly in front of the premises shall not be used as a loading zone or designated as a loading zone or as parking for exclusive use of the restaurant or as a valet spot for exclusive use of the restaurant. Number 8, that all deliveries are to be completed by 9 a.m. Number 9, that all trash collection is to be done Monday through Saturday via Sunset Avenue. Fresh out of things. Sunset Avenue only, yes.
Kathleen, I only have one comment regarding the parking derived from the service floor area. The Coastal Commission ruled last month at a public hearing in Huntington Beach that the service floor area is derived from a net square footage exclusive of the path of travel. The Coastal Commission ruled on that. Jack Ainsworth?
Oh, okay, thank you for your comment.
And that was ruled, so I don't think you can propose that.
Thank you.
Where are you gonna park?
Okay, let's try.
Let me record just real quick. I was there, I was part of that appeal. What the Coastal Commission said was, for the first time ever in their history, they are going to allow the calculation of service floor area not include path of travel. They did not say that in all future projects that would be the case. And I can assure you that we will find that out in this case.
Okay.
Because the neighbors are sufficiently concerned that they will appeal to the Coastal Commission.
All right, thank you. So, are we clear about the motion? Abundantly clear? Okay. All those in favor? Raise hands, please. Okay, so that is, I think I have to abstain. That's another weird rule about this. Okay. Somebody get Robin. Robert! Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience in my first